In the quiet valley of Silver Creek, life flowed like the gentle stream that gave the village its name. The sun cast a warm golden glow over fields of ripening corn, where farmers worked with a rhythm passed down through generations. Children's laughter echoed through the cobblestone streets as they played tag, their joyful shouts a familiar and comforting soundtrack to the day. In the small town square, neighbors exchanged pleasantries, sharing stories and fresh bread, their lives interwoven in a tapestry of simple, peaceful existence. It was a world untouched by the chaos that festered beyond its sheltering hills, a sanctuary of tranquility where the greatest concern was the forecast for the next harvest. The first sign of trouble was a discordant note in the symphony of village life. A lone figure, lurching with an unnatural gait, appeared at the edge of the woods. Then another and another, their silhouettes stark against the setting sun. The villagers paused, their curiosity quickly turning to a cold, creeping dread. These were not travelers. Their movements were jerky, their eyes vacant, and a low, guttural moan drifted on the evening breeze. The slow, shambling advance began, a relentless tide of decay washing towards the heart of Silver Creek. Panic erupted as the chilling realization dawned. The horrors of the outside world had finally breached their peaceful haven. As the horde poured into the village, chaos gave way to a desperate will to survive. Elias, a blacksmith whose hands were more accustomed to shaping iron than wielding weapons, rallied his neighbors. "To the forge, bar the gates!" he roared, his voice cutting through the rising tide of screams. Farm tools became instruments of defense. Pitchforks, scythes, and heavy wrenches were all that stood between the living and the dead. The villagers fought with the ferocity of cornered animals, their peaceful home transformed into a brutal battleground. The night was filled with the clang of metal against bone and the desperate cries of a community fighting for its very soul against an unthinking, unending wave of death. When the first rays of dawn pierced the smoke-filled sky, they revealed a scene of utter devastation. The village was a smoldering ruin, its once charming cottages now broken and burned. The silence that fell was heavier and more profound than any peace it had known before, broken only by the mournful whisper of the wind through shattered windows. A handful of survivors, their faces streaked with soot and tears, stood amidst the desolation, their eyes reflecting the horror of the night. Elias leaned heavily on his hammer, the tool of his trade now a grim relic of their struggle. They had survived, but their world was gone, reduced to ashes and bitter memories. Just as the last embers of hope began to fade, a new sound filled the air, a rhythmic chopping that grew steadily louder. A military helicopter descended from the gray sky, its powerful downdraft kicking up dust and debris. Ropes dropped, and soldiers in tactical gear rappelled to the ground, their movements precise and efficient. They moved through the ruins, securing the perimeter with a practiced calm that was both intimidating and reassuring. Medics rushed to the survivors, their voices firm but gentle as they administered aid and offered water. The arrival of the helicopter was not just a rescue, it was a promise. As the survivors were led toward the aircraft, they cast one last look at their ruined home, a new, fragile hope flickering in the face of an uncertain future.